Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session Holistic Cybersecurity Strategy Integrating Pen Testing and Forensics for CISOs Decision Making. And I am Ritika Chakraborty. I will be your host for the day. Before we get started, we would like to go over a few house rules for our audience. The session will be in listen only mode and will last for an hour, out of which the last 10 minutes will be dedicated to Q&A. If you have any questions during the webinar to the organizers or our speaker, use the Q&A window. Also, if you face any audio video challenges, please check your internet connections or you may log out and log in again. And very important announcement for our audience. We have started CPE credit certificates for our attendees. The criteria to get the CPE credit certifications, the attendees need to attend the entire live webinar and write an email to cybertalks@eccouncil.org. Please remember the attendees need to attend the entire live webinar and then they can write, not the offline recorded webinar. Also, we would like to announce to our audience about the special handouts. Take the screenshot of the running webinar and post in your social media, LinkedIn or Twitter, tagging EC Council and use the hashtag CyberTalks. We will share free handouts to our first 10 audience. As a commitment to closing the cybersecurity workforce gap by creating multi-domain cyber technicians, EC Council pledges $3.5 million towards CCT education and certification, scholarships to certify approximately 10,000 cyber professionals ready to contribute to the industry.
Did you know that you can be part of the lucrative cybersecurity industry? Even top companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, IBM, Facebook, and Dell all hire cybersecurity professionals. The cybersecurity industry has a 0% unemployment rate. The average salary for an entry-level cybersecurity job is about $100,000 per year in the United States. Furthermore, you don't need to know coding and learn from your home, and you get a scholarship to kickstart your career. Apply now. EC Council is pledging a $3.5 million CCT scholarship for cybersecurity career starters. Scan the QR code on the screen to apply for the scholarship. Fill out the form.
If you want to know more, kindly visit our website given in the chat section. Now about our speaker. Both IDC and CIO Online have recognized Dr. Erdal Ozkaya. He is known as a passionate, solutions-oriented professional with a comprehensive global background within the information technology, information security, and cybersecurity fields. He is committed to providing individuals and organizations with accurate, easily accessible information about cybersecurity and privacy issues in the internet age. Dr. Erdal Ozkaya is a collaborative team leader with his key areas of expertise spanning end-to-end IT solutions, management, communications, and innovation. He is also a renowned public speaker, an award-winning technical expert, a book author, and a writer of certifications for prestigious organizations such as Microsoft, EC Council, and other expert level vendors. Now, without any further delay, I am handing over the mic to you, Dr. Erdal.
Thank you, Ritika. Hello, everybody. Good morning from New York, America. I hope you're all doing well. We prepared a good webinar for you, which I hope you're going to learn something from. So let's start. I don't have to repeat myself again. That's me. You can always Google me and find more information about me. So, before we start, doesn't matter what your role is. You might be a CISO, you might be a security manager, or you might be someone who wants to get into cybersecurity. Regardless what your role is, it's really important to understand the benefits of penetration testing, forensics, and of course, any other aspects which adds value to whatever role you're doing. As our today's topic is CISO strategy, let's start with the word of strategy. What does strategy mean? As you all know, strategy is the plan to achieve an objective. This objective could be differ depending on what you want to do. And as our topic is a cybersecurity strategy, let's focus on what a cybersecurity strategy is. Like any other strategy, a cybersecurity strategy is a documented approach. And the whole idea of this is to develop and address cybersecurity needs of the entire network. What the network, what the people, what the technical system will need to get protected. Like in every strategy, there is an effective strategy and there is a bad strategy. How can you make your cybersecurity strategy well? An effective cybersecurity strategy is normally on a par with cybersecurity risk exposure of an entity. It should cover all the possible attack landscapes that can be targeted by malicious parties. So, is it enough? No. You need many other aspects to build a proper strategy, and let's deep dive into those. Before I go anywhere, if you ever attended my sessions before, you know I'm a big fan of Sun Tzu. He wrote 2,500 years ago a book called The Art of War. And there he said, to win a strategy, you have to know your enemy, but that's not enough. To win a war, you have to know the enemy as well as yourself. And if you have this, you don't have to fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself, but not the enemy, for every victory you gained, you will also suffer a defeat. He highlights that you have to know the enemy and yourself, otherwise you will not have a proper war strategy. Let's put this into cybersecurity. We all use technology. We all manage people. That's what IT is, right? Managing people, give them access to make their job more effectively in an easiest way as possible. On the other hand side, we have the hackers. What are the hackers doing? They're trying to find the easiest way to social engineer your users, to use a newly developed or a commodity malware to get into your networks. You, as defender, you have to know your technology, no matter what you have in your organization. If you don't know one little aspect of it, this could be a pain. For example, shadow IT. What will shadow IT do? Usually, some departments will have some budget, some needs. They just buy the project, software, whatever it is, implement it, and you, as defender, as CISO, security manager, CIO, if you are not aware of this, this could be an attack vector. And unfortunately, during my professional career, I saw many organizations hit this way. What else? You have to also know your people. If you don't know what your people are clicking on, if you don't, for example, create some phishing scenarios, then it means you are possibly higher target to be a victim of a cyber attack. Is it enough to win a war? Is it enough to create a cyber strategy? No, you have to know your people, you have to know your technology, and of course, you have to know your team. What are you capable of? How your team can handle issues? How is your team talking to other departments? Putting all this together is going to help you to build a better cyber strategy. All right, The topic name is, what is a holistic cybersecurity strategy? A holistic cybersecurity strategy is a comprehensive approach to cyber safety that takes into account all aspects of a system and environment. This includes physical security, network security, software security, and of course, user behavior. Is it all? No. It covers every digital aspect. Is it all? No. You have to also think about physical security. Because if you don't have the physical security aspect, then malicious users might access your premises, and as soon as they can touch your systems, they can create risk for you. So it's your job to look at all elements holistically to protect your data and users from potential threats. What else? You need to build a holistic cybersecurity strategy. You require a multi-stakeholder approach that involves every people in your organization, including your governments. Doesn't matter if you're private sector or a civil society. It's important to look at your region. Depending on the region, you might have to create a strategy which requires some government support. Yes, here's an example. Let's say you are implementing ISO 27001. Based on ISO, you're supposed to implement a VPN solution. There are some countries where, unfortunately, VPN solutions are not allowed. What does it mean? It means, regardless what the ISO 27001 says, you have to obey into the law. Saying that, of course, corporate VPN solutions are different compared to personal VPN solutions, but this was just an example which came to my mind now. A holistic cybersecurity strategy is all about best practices, standards, and of course, any good resource to protect the integrity and reliability of your cyberspace. What do I mean with that? I mean, you need to have cybersecurity as necessary. Keep in mind, putting all the cybersecurity aspects, implementing all frameworks, buying all cybersecurity software and hardware is not going to make you secure. As I mentioned earlier, if you know your people, if you know your technology, and if you know yourself, you can look at the right aspects and build a plan to manage your organizational security risk according to a defined tolerance. You all know what a risk management is. It's not today what we're going to cover, but you have to put everything into risk, and you might accept some risk, you might avoid some risk, or you might mitigate some risk depending on your strategy. How can you build a strategy? You might select a strategic framework. This could be NIST, this could be ISO, whatever number you like. Secondly, you have to analyze your current state, a baseline. Where are you at? What are you aiming to? Based on your future state vision, you have to define your principles. You have to define your future state of desire. And of course, you have to look at your capabilities. All sounds good, right? Then you have to look at your strategic roadmap. You have to either adopt new project or develop the current project that you have. You have to mobilize. You have to engage your stakeholders. And more importantly, you have to implement those based on regulatory compliance, based on your budget, based on your needs to protect the brand of your organization. I mean, this is all quite simple when you put this in a slide. But is this really that simple in real life? Before we go there, I want you to explain the differences between a holistic cybersecurity strategy and a cybersecurity strategy itself. They might sound the same, but they are not the same thing. A cybersecurity strategy is a general term that refers to any plan or policy that aims to protect a system or an organization, of course, from cyber attacks. On the other hand, a holistic cybersecurity strategy is specific type of cybersecurity strategy that takes into account all aspects of a system and its environment. As I mentioned earlier, this could be physical, network, people, you put it all together. One more important thing about holistic cybersecurity strategy is it integrates into proactive and reactive aspects. And in a holistic cybersecurity, you use the benefits of penetration testing, digital forensics, and so on. And this is, as you know, the topic of today. What benefits will pen testing, forensics give us to build a holistic cybersecurity strategy? First of all, to build a cybersecurity strategy, there are three major pillars. One, you have to understand the business. If you don't understand the business, you cannot protect it. Let me give you an example from my real life. I started my careers late 1990s. I built my company early 2000s. I started to do pen testing. I did get CH certified and so on. I had always my own business. I worked as a vendor, a security vendor to organizations. So each organization had their little, had their own target, had their own security aspect, and I adapted myself towards that. Then I joined Chem Technologies, Microsoft. So I was always in the vendor side until I think end of 2000s, 2020. I joined as a CISO, or back then as a head of information and cybersecurity, to a bank. I never worked in a bank before. I never had banking experience. So what I did is, the first 2 months, I learned every aspect about banking, how banking makes money, what are the banking products, what banking products are available to people. I did try to, before I looked even at the cybersecurity aspect, I filled up my agenda to speaking to every stakeholder to understand the business, because I know without understanding the business, I could not protect it. And I was right. The effort that I put in upgraded me to a better role, which was the regional CISO title. But anyway, so how did I achieve this promotion? Why understanding the business? While understanding the business, I was able to understand the security risks. I was understand to look into every detail. Don't forget, the devil is hidden in the detail, and you, as the defender, you have to know sometimes a little aspect of a detail to protect it. An example: if you have an Erdal printer which connects to the internet, and you know that maybe the organization don't, you might start your pen testing from there, and you will be successful because sometimes that little aspect was overseen by the previous management. That's an example. Second, you have to understand the threats and risk. I mean, in banking, it's easy, right? The threats are usually threat actors who is after money. But what if you're working for government? The threat actors are most probably nation states. What if you work in a cybersecurity company like myself, Xcitium, one of the world's best cybersecurity companies, if you ask myself? While we protect the world, how am I protecting my own organization as CISO? Of course, I have to understand not just the risk which hits my customers or my competition. I have to also understand how the threat actors work to get into me so I can protect others. And of course, the least favorite part of many people is proper documentation. Documentation is really, really important. Why? You all know what happened to MGM a few months ago. They were hacked by a ransomware group and they lost everything. All the casinos and hotels were down. Just imagine you had a booking And if you didn't have a proper documentation on how to manage a booking manually when the system is down, you would probably face chaos. And if you don't believe me, check your favorite search engine and see how MGM suffered of not having proper documentation during the cyber attack. So once you have this 3 major pillar, you need also some staff to build your cybersecurity strategies. And what is that? As you know, cyber attacks are a constant threat for many organizations. Usually the advisories, the threat actors, the hackers are very skilled. And many of these attacks are orchestrated by either nation-sponsored not sports actors, or cyber terrorists, if not sophisticated cyber criminals who does hacking for a living. Millions, if not billions of dollars are invested into that to be successful. Sometimes they aim money. Sometimes they aim your data. Or sometimes, like in Stuckneck's example, they just want you to slow you down. So those attackers can access a black market, dark web, hacking services, tools, TTPs, and money laundering schemes. And they usually use this to get into your organizations. And they know our challenges as defenders. If you ever work in IT, you know everything is not perfect. You know you have demanding people to do their own stuff. Again, MGM example. If someone calls your help desk and try to trick you, and you don't have a trained help desk because they are not trained for social engineering, your whole organization might be down. Another example, you might have an IT department which is lazy. They don't read the news, and there is a new 0 day, and Microsoft released, let's say, an urgent patch against this 0 day, and they're afraid to update their computer systems because most of the times, or sometimes, you get dead of blue screen, dead of black screen, whatever you name it, and this brings your computer down. You better not touch it, look away. Guess what? Hackers will utilize this to attack you. An example, WannaCry, NotPetya. And today, after nearly 5, 6, or 7 years after the first attack, people are still using ransomware attacks. And there are many organizations, many government institutions victim to ransomware. And most of the time, the main reason is same. Getting phished via an email, having an unpatched system, or using the wrong tools. So, to build a cybersecurity strategy, you have to know what tactics you want to use. You have to document them in details. You should not assume, the only assume that you might have is you might get hacked. Assume you will be hacked, but everything else should not be assumed. I assume my firewall is set up correctly. No, I assume my endpoint security is the best because it's in Gartner. No, I assume, don't assume. The only assumption that you should make is you might get hacked, maybe now. Any cybersecurity strategy should, of course, aim to improve your organization. And unfortunately, there is no long-term commitment to security. It's a long-term, ongoing commitment, as it's called in ISO 27000 families, PDCA, plan, do, check, act, and this continues forever. Of course, this has to be approved by your key management. An example, Uber. What happened to Uber CISO? When they get hacked, the CISO hide it from probably it was the management decision, I don't know, but the CISO was held accountable for not sharing this hack with the government. As a result, the CISO of Uber was sentenced 8 years of jail. So it's not just anymore telling the management. Sometimes you have to report it to the authorities, and sometimes you have to maybe risk to lose your job, but not your freedom. This is a question to ask maybe in another webinar. And of course, cyber strategies might take two approaches. One, the defensive approach, to the attack perspective. So let's talk about this later. What are the challenges with the technology, cybersecurity strategic prevention, its realization? First of all, isolated strategies. What does this mean? You are not independent. Technology strategies are often created in silos within IT. But technology strategy should be part of the comprehensive corporate strategy. While IT is important, you cannot just rely on IT. And that's why, in my opinion, a CISO should never report to the CIO. And I see now the shift that CIO starts to report to CISOs, or the best, keep them in two separate approach. What most of the organizations use these days is three ways of defense. One, first line, which is the CISO. Two, second line, which is the risk department. Three, auditors, which is totally independent groups, which checks both parties. Two, the limited breed. Technology is defined strictly as backend, IT not holistically, where cybersecurity impacts should be viewed across the enterprise versus function specific. Again, you should not just look at the HR department, for example, if you want to be successful. If you don't know your current state, if you don't know your gaps, then you cannot build a proper future state. That's why you should focus heavily on future state versus the current state. Remember, a few minutes ago, I said baseline. Baseline will tell you, and documented baseline will tell you where you started. Future statement will tell you what you aim, and the gaps in between will help you move slowly towards your goals. Sometimes one of the biggest issues that I see is lack of actionable next steps. If you don't technology future states into account of execution, then you will not be able to reach your target. That's why you should focus on what, not the why. Where this is also as a independency, but technology roadmap should articulate the case of proposed changes. I mean, just recap, because I think I expressed myself wrong. You should not just look at why and how. Sometimes you have to look in every aspect. Again, enough of going into details. This is 8 key items for a cybersecurity strategy and action plan. First of all, don't forget, have a vision. Know your mission. And integrate your business model decision into your vision and mission. Don't forget to have a strategy guiding principle. Don't forget to have an initial business case. Include key drivers. Have a program charter. Plan, and of course, never ever forget to have the governance arrangement integrated to what you're building. Know your strengths. You know weakness. Look at the opportunities and threats. If you don't know, remember we talked about Feng Shui in the very beginning. Your strengths, your weaknesses, the opportunities will help you to build the best strategy based on current attacks vectors. What is coming next? AI. So how are you going to defend against AI? Of course, sometimes you don't know a specific answer, but predict sometimes, or just leave a gap and try to mitigate this risk. Have this in your risk register open and update as you learn more about the technology, about what's coming up. What else? You have an enterprise architecture and a target operating model. This could be in IT and cybersecurity, doesn't matter. Have an enterprise level technology security project and prioritize them based on your needs. Align with IT. You cannot be successful without them. Align with your people. You cannot implement your strategy without getting their support. And of course, never ever forget to have governance, security, and risk management integrated. So how's the outcomes? First of all, you're going to have assessment. What is those assessments? Penetration testing, for example. We will cover in the next slide. I will cover this next slide. Have your strategy formulation, and more importantly, build a strategy master plan. First step is usually to assign resources. This could be a third party, and I highly recommend, after you know your internal threats, to have some external party to look into your internal threats via penetration testing. Remember, I highly recommend you to understand the business needs. You should conduct baseline of IT landscape, and you should determine the relevant IT best practices. Don't forget, relevant IT best practices. Remember, security as necessary. Security on what you need, not what the vendor is recommending you. Saying that, I work for a vendor as well, and we will never ever, as Xcitium, recommend something which you don't need. Define a target model. Identify your gaps. Drive your IT strategy and recommendation. Define and prioritize your initiative, and finally, develop your master plan. This will help you to have a strategic alignment, effective risk management, value in your delivery. This will give you resource optimization. This will give you performance measurement, and hopefully process assurance integration to be successful. All right. Remember, we talked about some strategies. What are the best cyber attack strategies? This could be external testing, internal testing, blind testing, targeted testing. So before we all go there, why do you need pen testing? Why not? No, of course. We all know penetration testing is a simulated cyber attack against a computer system to check for exploitable vulnerabilities. Basically, the difference between penetration testing and hacking is a hacker comes in, destroys, steals, whatever, and leaves. A pen tester comes in and reports the findings so you can fix them. In all my career, which is more than 25 years, the only thing which I saw that pen testing can help you improve the security of a system or network by finding and fixing the weak spots that attackers could use. Again, in all my career, I saw that organizations do pen testing every single year without even fixing the findings from first year, without even integrating to their risk register, without getting consideration of third-party risk management. Why third-party risk management? Remember the FireEye SolarWinds attack? Doesn't matter how good you are in cybersecurity, sometimes if you don't look into detail and you don't implement TPSM, the third-party risk management, you might get attacked from your most trusted resource, which is your third party. Pen testing can help you to measure the effectiveness of your security controls, the policies. If you're complying with the regulations, with the standards, it is designed to, a good pen testing is designed to give you a holistic cybersecurity strategy, which integrates with your digital forensics. Sample, you select a target. There is many different ways to do penetration testing, but at the end, it ends always with report. Information gathering, attack generation, analysis, all depends on the agreement that you have. And I'm not going to go into those details today with you, but don't forget, it all depends what you want to do. And penetration testing is usually focus arrangement based on the scope. All right, now, what is the vocabulary of a penetration testing? We talked about blind testing. Blind testing basically is you do testing, of course, permitted testing based on a target that you know limited information. Internal penetration testing is what you have done internally. Software engineering is the art of human hacking. Web application assessment focuses on web applications. Wireless or physical penetration testing is usually you dress like a pizza delivery man, try to penetrate into the building, or you penetrate the wireless which is openly available. Maybe you recommend later to have a terminators in between. Network topology, external penetration testing, we have all this capability. You can always check this data up, as this is really not the main focus of today. So why do you need penetration testing as a security manager, as a CISO, as an IT manager? First of all, it is proactive. That's usually a good way, depending. I mean, I saw penetration testing where people come in with Kali Linux only, or they have an automated test software. They double click, they run the test, and they give you a report. This is not a penetration testing. A penetration testing should look at every aspect depending on the scope, on finding and fixing vulnerabilities. And it's not just about vulnerabilities. Sometimes you have to look at many different aspects, but this is an example. And you should be able to see if they are exploitable or not. If it's a 0 day and there is no patch, what are you going to do? The report should then give you some recommendation on on have a proper risk mitigation. Maybe you will need to move this web server to an internal server and kill the service. Maybe the service is unkillable. Maybe you have to isolate it so it gives limited access to your internal resources. So pen testing is there to help you to improve your security posture, to reduce your risk, and sometimes to comply with your regulations. As I said, it helps you to measure the effectiveness for your security controls. It helps you to identify your gaps in your defenses and prioritize remediation efforts. Don't forget, most of the penetration reports are thick. And sometimes you cannot build a defense strategy to everything there, but prioritization will help you to secure your environment better. More importantly, a good pen test will help you to understand how your system would respond during an actual cyber attack, and how you can improve your incident response capabilities, your BCR, business continuity resources. So pen testing is important. I think we all agree with that now. Let's talk our second and last topic for today. Why do you need digital forensics? All right, pen testing is before the attack, right? It gives you a holistic view of your current state. And digital forensic, which sometimes, unfortunately, which you need to do after an incident happens. What it means, you are hacked, and now you have to find the root cause, so you can do a lesson learned. Excuse me. So digital forensics is a branch of forensic science that deals with the recovery, investigation, analysis, and implementation of a digital evidence from various devices. This could be a computer, a phone, electronic gadget. It's like, as you watch in movies, when someone gets killed, usually the police comes, they take photos, they will try to find evidences, they look at DNA, and they try to identify the killer. Same thing applies to digital forensics. We, digital forensic professionals, will come in, we will look into details, we will look at the artifacts, and we will try to find out what happened in the network so you can learn. It's there to help you against the issues which happened. This could be an internal, this could be a threat actor which is still in your network. So it's there to minimize the after effects to these attacks to happen again. If you, happened, I want to give two examples, two ransomware examples. One, Garmin. I'm wearing one of the watch. They had ransomware attack. Hacker, nation state threat actors, whatever they are, they demanded Garmin to pay $10 million. Garmin negotiated, paid $4 million. They had their keys and gone. Then EA Games, the famous game maker, they also had ransomware. They didn't want to pay the money because they had backups, and they restored the environment back from backups. But guess what? The hackers still had access to the system, and they exfiltrated 750 of data, and they release the source codes of their software. So if it's like you had some sickness in your body, you go to the doctor, and the doctor gives you medicine. Usually they call you after the medication is over to recheck if you are better or not. Same thing applies to digital forensics. It is rechecking your environment to see there is no after effect from the incident which happened before. There's 9 elements. I mean, I'm not going to go into the details. You take it in, you identify, you prepare based on the case, you isolate if possible if it's a single computer, yes. If it's a small network, yes. But what if it's in the Aramco case 30,000 computers at once? You have to look. The main idea is here to protect the evidence. Then you have to conduct the forensics. You have to scan for the incident. You have to verify the incident. You have to report the incident. Then you have to present it so they can learn the lesson, why it happened, and maybe it can be shared with the shareholders. Maybe not the details, of course, of the attack, but the reason of the attack, with the media, depending all on the organization type you are on. And of course, this should be archived, documented well for lesson learned. Why do you need digital forensic? I think I explained it all. You need it because it is a reactive way for investigating and analyzing the digital evidence. You need it because if you ever face an incident, this is the best way to finding and examining the threats left by those bad guys. You might have to do it legally to find evidence complying with the regulations. Let me give you an example. This is on Microsoft Digital Threat Report. They found evidences before the Russian-Ukrainian war started that Russia has attacked Ukrainian digital assets, and Microsoft shared this in a digital threat defense report, which you can Google and find out. More importantly, digital forensic can help you to give you valuable insight into real-life world impact of a breach of what happened in the organization. Do you need to wait for forensics until you get hacked? In my opinion, no. It's always good to do a simple forensics to find out what's running in your network. What is happening in a computer environment? Is there everything okay as your vendor promised? Here's a real life example. Remember, I gave the EA game examples. An attacker exploited the data for external resources. When you look at it, there was a abnormal high traffic connection to cloud strategies, such as to cloud solutions, such as Dropbox, Google Cloud. And in that case, there was unusual USB sticks. All right, it means the forensics professional has to look at the traffic logs, proxy logs, operating system logs. This will help you to find if this was an internal or external threat. In the EA game example, it was an external threat. Let me give you an internal threat example. It was also in the news. A new employee downloaded 10 GB of data within the first week of employment at Tesla. And of course, after 1 week, that employee was fired. So luckily, they had this internal monitoring. Said, why does a new employee need 10 GB of data in their first week? And that employee was fired. It was all on the news. And this was found through a digital forensic investigation. All right, what else do you need besides pen testing? One of my most favorite tools is ThreatMon. I will highly recommend you go to threatmon.io. There you can have an attack surface. You should not just rely on what is happening in your network. You should also know what your attack surface management is outside. Don't forget, your organization, if you're in the cloud, it means you might be in Amazon, you might be in Azure, you might be in Alibaba, or whatever cloud provider you use. What footprint do you have there? What are you sharing in those places? Are you really implementing the best practices which is given to you, which is recommended to you? What is the digital risk protection level? What is your CTI? It is really, really important. What's your security scorecard? This can be used by tools like Threatmon, or this can be, giving you extra view of what's happening beside the pen testing, which is on that limited scope. Me as CISO, I'm using this in my current organization, and honestly, it is giving me a holistic view of what's happening beside pen testing. What else can you use? You can use that if you don't have an EDR because it's expensive. Go to openedr.com. It's totally free. You can have an EDR solution with full EDR solution to protect your environment. What is EDR? EDR is endpoint detection response. It will not just detect the issue, it will also respond to you and give you the details on what you need. You can use Nessus to look at the network or the Wireshark. You can use Burp Suite to do some pen testing. I would highly recommend use Metasploit Community Edition. If you want to look on what's running, what is loaded in your RAM, Magnet RAM Capture, Nmap, FTK images, those are the tools which can help you to secure your environment. Again, don't forget, there is no perfect strategy. The strategy is there to make you better. An example, I am right now a bit overweighted. If I want to lose weight, I have to build a plan, eat less, move more, stress less to lose weight. And then I have to track this, maybe via calorie intakes, maybe via a blood test in a doctor. And I should know when I started my diet, I was 100 kilos, 200 pounds. Then in 3 months, I lost 20 pounds, 15 kilos, I make the numbers up. And my goal is to be 80 kilos. This baseline and this steps in between can help me to reach to my target. If I missed my target, I have to look at the gaps. If there is anything else, I might have to go to my doctor, maybe I have some medical conditions, or I might have some laziness issues, which I have to change my mindset. No matter what my aim is, I have to look into this and focus into that to be more healthier. And the same thing applies to your network. With this, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. And saying that I have a book called Cybersecurity Attack and Defense Strategies, which was translated to 5 different languages so far. It's all about, you can just look at it later yourself. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give every attendee a free copy of it. All what you have to do is go to this link, fill up the form, and some lucky users, I cannot say all of you, but I think 10 people will get a free signed book from me. Doesn't matter where you are. All what you have to do is go to Xcitium, CISO signed book, and fill up the form. Hopefully 10 of you will get a signed book from me. And if you want to keep in touch, those are my contact details. I have a YouTube channel, Instagram, my blog. With this, I'm coming to the end of my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed it so far. Now I'm going to go to the questions. And I did try to squeeze a very important topic into this given time square, not time limit, time square. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Ritika,
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Erdal. We had a great session and we have got so many feedbacks. They have actually asked for like more session with you.
Perfect.
So before we get started with the Q&A, today's webinar is in sync with our CPEN certification. EC Council's Certified Penetration Testing Professional. CPEN is a specialization certification that teaches you to perform effective penetration test in an enterprise network environment. With CPENT, you will cover advanced penetration testing tools, techniques, and methodologies most needed right now. It's a
Ritika, let me say,
hundred
you know
percent.
what? I'm also certified. I'm certified penetration tester from EC Council years ago. Back then, it used to called something else. Now it's called licensed penetration tester as well. I think I would highly recommend all of you to do this course because it's hands-on and honestly, it gives holistic view of what's happening. Sorry to cut you off, but I want to share this detail as well.
Thank you so much for your actually inputs. So yes, for our audience, if you are interested to know more, kindly take part in the poll which is going to be conducted right now. Let us know your preferred mode of training and we will reach out to you. So shall we start the Q&A order?
I am born ready.
Sure. So our first question is, what makes CISO better than CEH?
Aha. Is it a certification question, CISO versus CH, or
No, no,
is
only
this
CISO uh, they have mentioned.
okay? All right. CH is a entry-level certification, hacking certification, maybe entry-level penetration testing certification. The advanced one is what Ritika mentioned a few seconds ago. Honestly, a CH, a certified ethical hacker, usually performs all these penetration testings and pass to the CISO. As a CISO, I mean, honestly, at Xcitium, I have my internal red teaming, which while we build world-class product to protect millions of customers across the globe, I have my own red teaming, which I test against our product. And let's say I found out one of our competitors were hacked, or one of our competitors' customers had an incident. I usually look at these details and try to see why they had it, and I will use these techniques against my own product to see that I can protect, first of all, my internal assets, secondly, improve the product. So a CH is a step to make the CISO better, in my opinion.
Thank you so much for your answer, Dr. Erdal. Our next question is, what areas of research would you recommend, as I am looking to do my doctorate as well?
Doctorate. Honestly, first of all, go and find out a good supervisor, advisor from the university you're gonna do. When I was doing my doctorate, I wanted to, I did a doctorate based on technical aspect, but it was rejected because it was too technical. Then I did try to do a social engineering one. I could not pass the ethical committee. It all depends. Again, look at the market, look at the gaps, and try to do something which you know well, which you enjoy, and which you can contribute it. Doctorate, honestly, it's a huge effort study. You have to write, you have to research, you have to pass sometimes committees that have no clue of what you're doing. But no matter what you do, if you have the ambition, go ahead and do it. What do I recommend? Again, look in the market and try to identify what is missing. When I did my doctorate, I noticed there was not much about social engineering. And if you go to Google Academia, you will see that I've selected the right thing, because so far in the last 10 years or less, I think I had doctorate for 6 years, I don't know now. I was surprised, people use my research to write their own research. And for that, you can check Google Academia, and they have a great website which tells which research was used how many times, and how effective your work is. And maybe this can help you to find the gaps that you want to contribute into the academia world, into the real world. I hope this answers the question. I mean, there is no right and wrong here. First of all, you have to find the right supervisor in your university, and you have to talk to her or him to be able, because sometimes it's not what you want, what they need. Don't forget, your supervisor is going to supervise you because he or she has their own goals and the university has their own targets, and sometimes you have to fit into it. So all these are important. Next one.
Thank you, Erdal. Our next question is, how do blue, red, or purple team fit into this strategy?
You know, I love all these colors: blue team, yellow team, red team, purple team. Honestly, there are different meanings, and I think I have a webinar. If you go and check the previous webinars, Kritika, was it with you? We did deliver actually a webinar on that. Go watch that, but let me give you a summary. Yes, I remember that as well. Let me give you the summary. Look, red teaming, purple teaming, I think they're all important. And as I said a few minutes ago before the question was asked, you know, you need this to improve your strategy. Like pen testing, it can be done by external team or it can be done by internal team, but this is all fitting into what you want to do. And purple teaming is common, okay, which covers the holistic strategy to help you to find your issues, your security, and hopefully improve your security based on the findings. Doesn't matter what color it is, you need it, and honestly, you need it to be more successful. Go watch this webinar for the full details. We recorded 1 hour webinar on that.
Yes, for that, guys, you can go to our website and watch the past webinars. So our last question is, what is the difference between penetration testing and ethical hacking?
And what?
Ethical hacking.
Penetration, honestly, there is no difference in my opinion. Ethical hacking could be, it is sort of penetration testing. Like, ethical hacker will usually get an authorization from an organization to do penetration testing, or you can go join bug bounty programs and be a bug bounter. And as a bug bounter, you can go, for example, Bugcrowd, HackerOne, Open Bugcrowd. You know, there are many bug hunting programs. As an ethical hacker, you will try, you know, you look who gave you permission and you try to hack them. A penetration tester is basically could be an ethical hacker, could be a gray hacker. It's, in my opinion, they're very, very similar. I don't see a major difference. Both of them are aiming to improve your holistic security. And both of the roles are, I mean, can I say both? I think they're the same. A penetration tester is an ethical hacker because ethical hacker finds all these issues and report it. So does penetration tester. Penetration tester usually gets paid either for conducting external tests or working somewhere full time. An ethical hacker could be, as I said, a bug bounter, which usually aims to find critical bugs and earn lots of money. For example, Microsoft don't go, why Microsoft? Xcitium, we have a bug bounty program, and we usually give bounties to people they find issues. And I can gladly say, so far we didn't have any critical issues. It doesn't mean we will never have, but this is an extra, you know, I have my pen testing. As a CISO, I have a small team which does the testing for me. I have my own skills which I test as well. I use ThreatMon, as I said, this external threat monitoring to look at it. And don't forget, I'm lucky, I work at Xcitium. I have a really great CTIs, cyber threat intelligence, coming to me. But I still don't rely on this information, but I also go use, you know, bug bounty programs. I also use some third-party pen testing companies to verify what am I doing, because sometimes me or my team can be buried out with one focus based on the business strategy, where independent hackers or pen testers or hackers, when I say, of course, I mean the white hat hackers, they can find into what I didn't look at. In my opinion, they are saying, and in my opinion, they're bad. As a CISO, they are my best friends. As a security manager, they are my best friend. Try to have good pen testers as a friend, ethical hackers as a friend, because they are there to help you to be better.
All right. Thank you so much, Erdal, for answering those questions. So it was actually a pleasure having you again with us. Before we conclude the webinars, do you have any small message for our audience?
Yes. Soon, we're planning already a new webinar for you. We had great numbers. Thousands of people has registered, and good numbers of people have attended the register. So keep in touch. I will be back, but don't just rely on me. I know Cyber Talks has this webinars nearly every week. Go join them. Don't forget, there is no 100% security in cybersecurity. Always look into the details. The devil is hidden in detail. Thank you very much, and see you next time.
Thank you so much for your message. And yes, so we do have our webinars every week. So before we end the session, I would like to announce our next Cyber Talk session,
Here we go.
which is which is the fundamentals of cybersecurity. Building a strong knowledge base is scheduled for 31st of October 2023 by Rico Danielson, which is tomorrow. The session is an expert presentation. To register for this session, please visit our website, which is www.eccu.edu/cyber-talks. The link is given in the chat section. Hope to see you all on tomorrow. And with this, I'm ending the session. You all may disconnect your line. Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Adal.
Thank you, everybody.